Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of The Message. I am your host, Donatus King. We'll spend this next hour with one purpose in mind, and that one purpose is delivering the message that God is Almighty. Everything that ever was, is now, or ever will be is a piece of God. Everything that ever was, is now, or ever will be was made by God. Everything that ever happened, is happening right now, or ever will happen was made to happen by God. God has a master plan for all time and all creation. God is Almighty. The message is brought to you by, is produced by the Society of Knowledge Incorporated. The Society is an interdenominational ministry. Our members come from various different religious and spiritual backgrounds. We have various different religious and spiritual beliefs. Although we come from different backgrounds and have different beliefs, there's one belief that we share. There's one piece of knowledge that we hold in common. And that's the knowledge that there is a being, by no matter what name we may have been taught to call that being, by no matter what name we may have come to know that being, whether that name be God, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, Jesus, Buddha, nature, by no matter what name, we know that there is a being that possesses not some of the power, not most of the power, but all of the power. We know that there is indeed an almighty being. That's the reason we do this show, and the only reason we do this show, to deliver the message that that being that personally I call God, that being is indeed Almighty. Today is February the 20th, 2020. I remind you of that fact because tonight, as we are on most Thursdays, we are live. And I remind you of that fact because this show is an open discussion, it's a two-way conversation. For those of you that are watching by Facebook, I invite you to join the conversation by posting your comments on Facebook, and I'll do my best to read them out over the air. Those of you that are watching on television, you see the telephone number that's on your screen. I invite you to use that number. Call in. That number is 504-483-3336. Call in and join the discussion. If there's something that's going on in your church, your mosque, your synagogue, your temple, your masjid, your place of worship, and you want to let the world know about it, call in or post your comments on Facebook. If there's something that's going on in your nonprofit organization and you want to share that information with the world, post your comments or call in and share that information with the world. More important than what's going on in your place of worship, at least to me, more important than what's going on in your nonprofit organization, if there's something that God has done in your life, a miracle that God has worked in your life. And I use that word literally, a miracle, because the God that I'm here to tell you about is working miracles. I'm not talking about worked miracles thousands of years ago that you read about in the Bible. I'm talking about today, February 20th, 2020. God is working miracles. So if God has worked a miracle in your life, post your testimony on Facebook. Call in and share your testimony. You know, it may be someone that's going through some problems right now, whether it's health problems, financial problems, relationship problems, drug problems, going through some changes right now, and they've tried everything. You know, there's so many 12-step programs out here, a 12-step program for just about anything that there is. There's medicines, medications for just about anything you can think of. Sometimes those programs don't work. Sometimes those drugs don't work. And I'm going to say something that might be a little controversial, but sometimes even talking to your imam, your pastor, having folks lay hands on you, none of that works. But I'm here to tell you that when all else fails, God can work a miracle in your life. And I'm going to share something with you. You don't have to be such a righteous person. You don't have to say a special prayer. You don't have to put a certain amount in church. You don't have to do none of that. That God can work a miracle in your life. So if God has worked a miracle in your life, share your testimony, because it might be somebody that's going through some problems right now that need a miracle. And hearing your testimony about how God has worked a miracle in your life might be the one thing that they need, the one thing they need to hear that will strengthen them, encourage them, help them hold on until God works a miracle in their life. So share your testimony with the world. Yes, I have been talking kind of fast, and I've been talking kind of fast because we have a a guest in our studio tonight, and yes, that's right, you see me playing around with the, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to get things straight so that we can bring our guest on. All right. And I think we have it set up now. Well, doesn't look like we do. Just hold on. All right. Now we have it set up. All right. Now we're live also on Facebook. And I know really what I was doing. I was holding my head so y'all could admire this up here. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, enough of that. I'm going to welcome our guest. And this is a guest, first time on the show.
That's right.
But he's not a guest. He's a friend and a member of the society, and a very special young man. And when I say special, because I'm gonna, once he gets to talking, I might not get a chance to say anything else. So, because he's got a whole lot, and when you learn about him, you're gonna see why he can talk so much. But look, I'm gonna toot his horn for a while. First of all, let me welcome you.
Thanks.
All right, and it's Bishop John Milton.
Yes.
Bishop, welcome to the message.
Thank you.
And let me just a little bit background, viewers. The bishop, when you hear me introduce him and welcome him as bishop, he's a bishop in the African American Catholic congregation, and we're going to talk about that. He's also a practicing attorney based out of the Lafayette area, and there's a whole lot more about Bishop. And one of the most important things that I can say is that he's a friend. He's a friend, and we're going to get into. Normally, those of you that normally watch the show, you know that usually when we have a guest on, we take a break about halfway through, and then I come back on. But we're going to do things a little differently tonight. The bishop's has agreed to be with us for the entire show. So just a real brief. Matter of fact, I'm going to do this. Because once we get into it with the bishop, I want to let him have the opportunity to really let it flow. So before we do that, let's go into do our announcements, and we'll try to get those out the way, and then we'll have the bishop and have our discussion, our conversation with the bishop. So let's bear with me, see if I can get this technology working here. All right. Okay, so I think we have things going now. We'll have our announcements. This is our regular order of our show. We'll have our announcements, and then after our announcements, then we'll have our religious spiritual study, prove all things, hold fast that which is good, coming out of First Book Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. And our topic tonight is the history of black religion spirituality. We'll continue our 4-week discussion about that, and that's in honor of, we're in February, which is the Black History Month. So in conjunction with Black History Month, we will be studying the history of black religion and spirituality. Our words of inspiration, I don't think we'll get to those tonight. They'll be coming out of the book of Exodus, chapter 9, verses 17 through 35. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that we won't be getting to that tonight. But announcements, you see, that's our main website. That's www.godisalmighty.org. I invite you to log that into your web browser. And 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can visit our website. And as you see listed there, those are all of our social media platforms. We have a blog, a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You don't have to worry about writing all those different addresses down. Go to our main website. When you go to the main website, there are links. You can just click on a button. It'll take you to those different social media platforms. Rock of Ages International Apostle Ronnie Bailey, operating primarily out of the greater Lafayette area. That's their main website, www.ronniebailey.com. And I invite you to lock that into your web browser also. And there, the Apostle is doing a lot of great things, not only in the Lafayette area, but throughout the greater New Orleans area also. So you can go to their website and you can find out exactly what it is that they are doing. The New Orleans Peacekeepers are operating here in the New Orleans area, and that phone number is 504-500-1706. So if you know someone that's having a beef, and when I say having a beef, having a dispute in the community, give the Peacekeepers a call. They'll come out and try to mediate that dispute. In the New Orleans area, call 311 between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. for free smoke detectors. Please check your vehicle's backseat for babies. It's turned cool here in New Orleans tonight, so you don't want to leave your child exposed. Sister Nichelle, thank you for joining us on Facebook. Sister Nichelle is out there watching the show. She's on the West Coast, so I thank you for joining us. The 2020 census, there are jobs available. So if you know of someone that's in need of a job, give them this information. There's a phone number right there that you see on your screen right now. I'll put that up and make sure Facebook viewers see that. The phone number is 1-855-562-2020, and you see their website there, that address. Someone might need a little temporary job right now, and my understanding is that they're paying $15 to $20 an hour, so that's nothing to sneeze at. If you know someone that needs to make some extra money, give them that information. Contact the census. Caregiver support line. Are you taking care of an elderly or infirm relative or friend? Would you like to have someone to talk to about what you're going through as a caregiver? Then call the caregiver support line, 504-957-5516. Brother Edward Reed Roberts, a licensed clinical social worker, is a facilitator, and the support line is free. There's so many of us that are thrust or placed in a position of taking care of either an elderly parent, or other relative, or close friend, and we don't have any training in doing that, but it falls on us to do that, and there are a lot of things that come along with being a caregiver. There's not only physical issues that you have to deal with personally, but mental issues. Sometimes we might feel that we're being torn in 3 or 4 different directions, trying to look after our loved one and also trying to look after our families. So if you are a caregiver or you know of a caregiver that needs some support themselves, give the hotline a call. The message coming out of Lafayette on Tuesdays at 6 p.m., and it's delivered by Messenger Ryan King and Messenger Corey Olivier on Facebook Live at the Messenger page. The show is produced by the Lafayette, Louisiana Center of the Society of Knowledge, Inc. It's kind of like we live in a world, and some folks in this part of the world will speak in one language, the other part of the world they'll speak another language. They'll be saying the same thing, but a different language. Well, if you want to hear the message, and there's only one message, and that message is that there's an almighty being, but if you want to hear that message delivered using some different language by some different folks, I invite you to tune in the message on Tuesday, 6 p.m., coming out of the Lafayette area. Our religious spiritual study, prove all things, hold fast that which is good, coming out of first book of Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 21. And if you hear me say something on the show tonight or any night, or you hear one of our guests say something, or you see something on the screen, don't take that for gospel. I invite you to do your own research, check it out, and if you find out that it's accurate, then hold on to it. If you find that it's not quite accurate, then if the show is still going on, call in or post your comments on Facebook and let me know so that I can correct it. And if not, then I'll correct it the first opportunity I get, corrected on air. So tonight we will be continuing our discussion. As I said, a 4-week series. The first week, it was the Genesis of Black Religion / Spirituality, the Genesis. The second week, spread of Black religion and spirituality out of Africa. tonight, Black Religion / Spirituality Worldwide Today. All right, and the next week, Black Religion / Spirituality in America Today. So that's our discussion. And as I said, tonight's topic, Black Religion / Spirituality Worldwide Today. And let's see, for right now, that's it on our slides right now. So let's bring in and welcome once again Bishop Milton. All right, Bishop. We're gonna have to get us an intern in here, Bishop, because all this, with me trying to do all this, man, that drive you crazy.
I can understand you're doing a better job than I can do.
This is driving me crazy, and I want to make sure that, and what I'm doing right now is making sure that we do have our live feed going out over Facebook and Facebook viewers. Yeah, you know what? Been doing all of that, Bishop, and weren't even broadcasting. All right, let's see if we can. We had an old feed that was on that was showing up, but we want to make sure that we're live. So that's what we're doing now. We're trying to make sure that we're live on Facebook, and it's great that we're living in this age, this day and time, that we have all these different media outlets that we can use. And one thing that I'm finding out, particularly with our younger folks now, that the television that we've been accustomed to, that television now, that a lot of our younger people, that's not really their media of choice, and sometimes I'll go out and either to eat somewhere or something like that, and you might have 3 or 4 folks at the table, and all of them have their own little thing that they're that they're looking at, and they might pick their head up to put something in their mouth or to tell about something that they're looking at. But for our Facebook viewers, I want to, because we were not broadcasting, and I apologize for that. I apologize about that for the these last 10 minutes of the show, 10 or 15 minutes of the show. We were not live on Facebook. I thought we were, but we weren't. But for our Facebook viewers, we have in the studio tonight, we have Bishop John Milton, Bishop with the African American Catholic Congregation, stationed coming out of the Lafayette area, the Bishop of the Lafayette Diocese.
Lafayette Province.
The Lafayette Province. And all right, Bishop, so our Facebook viewers, okay, they lost the first 15 minutes of the show, but that means we still have 45 minutes to go. All right, so we look at the positive. We have 45 minutes to go. Sister Ayan, thank you for joining us on Facebook. So why don't you share with us a little bit about Bishop John Milton. Who is he?
Yes. Thank you, Messenger Donato. It's a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to be in your broadcast. I watch it regularly in the Lafayette area. I'm John Milton. I was born in Sunset, Louisiana, a little town right between Opelousas and Lafayette. After completing high school there, I went on to USL with a business degree and on the law school at Southern. 5 years hitch in the United States Marine Corps as a Judge Advocate General. And after that time, I returned home around 1993, serving as an Assistant District Attorney in the Lafayette area for almost 10 years. And then while I simultaneously maintained a private practice, and in 2000 began full-time private practice. But I am bivocational, called to the ministry in 2004. Before that, I joined the Imani Temple, Imani Temple number 49 in Lafayette, an organization started by Archbishop J. Augustus Stallings Jr. the founder of the African American Catholic Congregation, and started as a layperson, became a deacon in 2004, 2008, a priest, 2000. What was last year? 2018. 2018, I became the bishop of the Lafayette province, which, by the way, includes the Lafayette area. So happy to work along with Reverend Waters out of the Emancipation of 28 here in New Orleans on Treasure Street. So
shout out to Reverend Waters.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. His hometown. I'm married, as we know that in our church, though we're Catholics, the priest can married with three children, one daughter-in-law. My last one is here at Tulane in law school, so very happy about that.
John Paul?
That's Antonio.
Antonio's
in law school at Tulane, completing his first year this semester.
All right. Right. How does he like it?
Huh?
How does he like it?
Oh, he loves it. He loves it. He just took a summer job in Houston with a firm, I forget the name of it, and then the second half of his summer will be at a firm here in New Orleans. So he's loving law school, and I think he got the top award in torts. I forget what they call that little award. So, so his name went around the circuit.
Right.
Very proud of him. He's loving it. And it's always, as a father, it's always good to have kind of like you with your son Ryan King. Your son Ryan King taking his bar exam this week, and we're happy to be one of his mentors in Lafayette. But I can imagine you feel like I do about our young children who grow up and decide to follow our footsteps.
Right. Now I understand you're about to be a godfather.
I'm about to be a godfather.
Okay.
A godfather of a king.
All right. All right. And, for our viewers, when you heard me say earlier about, a friend and friendship, Bishop, my daughter-in-law is expecting, and Bishop is going to be the godfather. So that's how close. Because the Bishop, you've been with Carnina since she was a little girl.
Her mom and I were in kindergarten together.
Well, and
her mom passed when she was 5.
Right.
And so, but she grew up with her grandparents, and I was a little disconnected from her for a while, but got her degree at UL and went to law school at Southern. Mm-hmm. She's now also serving as our church administrator in Lafayette.
Right. Yeah. All right. So you see all these connections, this closeness.
Very connected.
So now, why don't you tell us a little bit, and show you the way things work. Now we're a little bit ahead of our discussion tonight, because next week. Our topic next week is the black spirituality and religion in America. Mm-hmm. But tonight the discussion about the AACC. Yeah. Well, you know what that does fit in, because AACC is not just America.
Right.
So talk to us a little bit about the AACC.
Well, the African American Catholic Congregation was founded on July 2nd, 1989 in Washington, D.C. This is very relevant to the city of New Orleans and Southwest Louisiana, because we know that the largest density of black Catholics in America are in Southwest Louisiana. The Diocese of Lafayette, where I live, is known as the cradle of black Catholicism. Great people have come out of there. Our used to be retired president of Xavier University from Lafayette, Norman Francis, of course, Father. That's right, Father A.J. McKnight, very noted historical black priest, Roman Catholic priest, worked in the Opelousas Holy Ghost Catholic Church in St. Paul. We have some, we've got a lot of history there in our black leadership, and so we're the African American Catholic Congregation. Was designed to create an alternative to Roman Catholicism. And we see people now have flocked out of the Roman Catholic Church. And prophetically, God placed the AACC in place to create an alternative, because where those who find that the Roman Catholic Church does not meet their spiritual needs or ecclesiastical needs, there's nothing wrong with people of color having an institution that they can call their own. And people leave the church for various reasons. We believe that ever since the Black Catholic caucus of the Roman Catholic Church, the clergy in 1968, on the death of Dr. King, they declared the Roman Catholic Church a white racist institution. Now, all of my involvement with Roman Catholic institutions, most of them are white, and they say we are a white racist institution. They acknowledge the fact that there's just some things that the church has not gotten right, and the treatment of its black members, parishioners, is oftentimes one of them that they've not gotten right. There are issues affecting black people regardless of our religion, right? So they're cultural. But if I am in a global church and I can't feel comfortable talking about the particularities of my religion, of my spirituality, and now in the science and the theological development of Black Catholic, or rather we say Black spirituality, Black African and Black African American spirituality, it's a whole field. And like many things about black people, it's a developing field. In other words, we've just begun to start to research for ourselves. It was only 30 years ago that many universities started having black studies or African American studies. So bodies of understandings, academic research, because our spirituality is not untied to our sociological, psychological, educational, physiological conditions. So everything you know about black people, you can't separate it from our spirituality. And so I contend to talk too long.
No,
so I hope I answered the question.
No, look, as I say, we have about half an hour.
Right.
So
so the African American Catholic congregation was designed to meet the needs of blacks. Well, we say black Catholics, but for us the word Catholic is in the stricter sense of the word Catholic. Catholic simply means universal. The Roman Catholic Church, or rather the Catholic Church, was supposed to be a universal church based upon a creed that there is one holy Catholic and apostolic church, one holy Catholic and apostolic, followers of the apostles of Christ. Right. Catholic meaning universal, that all of humanity belongs to it. Right. But the church that we know as the Roman Catholic Church became an exclusive club. All right. So we have to now create our own. This is the purpose of the African American Catholic congregation. All
right, Brother Harold, Sister Aretha, thank you for joining us on Facebook, and anybody else that joined that I didn't get a chance to acknowledge. But this is one of the things I want to. In order to be a member of the AACC, you have to be black.
That would be a misnomer. That would not be correct.
Yeah, right.
We say that we are Catholic, and we use the strictest sense of the word Catholic, meaning universal. Right. Anybody can be a member of the African American Catholic congregation, but we believe that God has called us to create an institution that is developed from the African worldview. Okay. So, for example, the Roman Catholic Church is no doubt a white, male, hegemonic, dominated, Eurocentric, Western mindset dominated institution. Nothing from the Gregorian chants or everything about it is dictated by European mind thought. So, I can lift up this book to you and say, well, what do you see? Now, if you're European and you're looking at me and you see the picture of this lady, but I don't see that because I'm looking at the same object, but I see it from my mind's view. That's the way it is with African mindset. The African mindset is how do African and African-centered people of the African diaspora, people on the continent, people whose heritage and history comes from the motherland. Do we see things differently? Is there some distinction between our spirituality from that of the, say, Europeans? But if there is a distinction, and I'm required as a black man to think like a white man, to have a spirituality of a white man, I'm not living in my true essence. And then we ask the question, what's wrong with the black people? That we are living outside of our essence. We've not been allowed, even with the notion of integration. Integration in America, which was designed to eliminate segregation, but segregation was only a set of laws. Integration, again, was only a set of laws. But now we've allowed this word to be used and trip us up, and now we think it's assimilation. That we're supposed to be one people. Well, if we're going to be one people, do we all have to think Eurocentrically? Do we all have to have a Eurocentric mind? Now, I know that we're going to get in a moment into black spirituality.
Everything is flowing.
All right.
Everything is flowing.
Black spirituality. You see, a lot of people say many people don't want to talk about race, and everybody want to say, I don't see color. I'll be like, I'll be darned.
Right.
If you don't see color, you better not run that red stop sign. The bottom line is that there are distinctions in spirituality based upon ethnicity and race. Now, you ready to get into that?
Let it flow.
I do want to preface and let people know, part of my formal training as a minister is right here in New Orleans at Xavier University as a graduate of the Institute for Black Catholic Studies, which is a treasure for this area. The black theologians from around the country ascend upon Xavier's campus every summer for the convening of the Black Catholic Institute. It's been going on for over 30 years. Many of our great leaders, Father, we call him Bishop-elect in the African American Catholic congregation when he joined us, but here right in Lafayette, one of our great leaders, Glenn Vincent Jean Marie, Father Glenn. Many people loved him as a priest and followed him and loved him, his spirituality, and he taught them so much. Many people today still mention, you mentioned Glenn Jean Marie, right? But he was a graduate of the Black Catholic Institute right here at Xavier. Even Father McKnight was a graduate of the Black Catholic Institute. So I'm proud to say that my formal education and my master's degree in theology is right here in New Orleans, and I encourage members of the society, of this community, to check it out. Dr. Kathleen Dorsey, Kathleen Bello, rather, is now the new director appointed this year, and she's the new leader over there. I encourage everybody to check this Xavier University out for the Black Catholic Institute. It will open your mind, and it might destroy some of the things that you really don't think you believe and know about religion and Catholicism and Christianity in general.
Well, I'm going to have to take and follow up on that.
Yes, sir.
I'm definitely personal. I want to take and just read a little something before we get back, or not before we get back, but as we continue this discussion, and this is along with something, just little research stuff that I picked up. And this is coming off the net. Most of it is coming off of Wikipedia. And as I said, prove all things. It's not just me saying it. But that's what Lonnie said, prove all things. But it kind of goes along with what you said just now. But this is just a few paragraphs here. Indigenous African religions refer to the indigenous or native religious beliefs of the African people before the Christian and Islamic colonization of Africa. Indigenous African religions are, by nature, plural, varied, and usually informed by one's ethnic identity, where one's family came from in Africa. For instance, the Yoruba religion has historically been centered in southwestern Nigeria, the Zulu religion in southern Africa, and the Igbo religion in southeastern Nigeria. For starters, and this is the little, it kind of rang in something that you said a minute ago. For starters, the word religion is problematic for many Africans because it suggests that religion is separate from the other aspects of one's culture, society, or environment. But for many Africans, religion can never be separated from all these. It is a way of life. It can never be separated from the public sphere. Religion informs everything in traditional African society, including political, art, marriage, health, diet, dress, economics, and death. And it goes on to say a few more things, but for tonight's, for this series,
right,
you'll see online that I post Brother Case, thank you for joining us out of Bogalusa. Brother Freddie, thank you for joining us. Brother Ryan, Messenger Ryan, thank you for joining us on Facebook. You see some of the symbolism that I've posted on Facebook and in the emails that are sent out about this series of shows. There's a word, a photo, and it says animism. And animism, my perception of it, my understanding of it, is an understanding, this is going to traditional African religions, that there's a certain essence to everything, that we're all connected, that there's a spirit that lives in everything. You know, not only humans, not only animals, but everything.
That's correct. And
what I said earlier about different people using different language to say the same thing, we can see, or I can see, even in religions like Catholicism, religions like, Protestantism, Islam, I can see that same message being sent out,
right,
but just using different words, different terminology. That oneness, that oneness, that oneness. But I just had to throw that in there, and I had to throw that in there because I need to get at least 3 or 4 minutes of talking. All right.
And I'm biting my tongue. I'm biting my tongue, giving you a few minutes of your own show.
All right, it's yours now, Bishop. And I see that thank you for you brought some publications you might want to touch upon.
I brought a few books.
All right.
Because I saw the last 2 shows you were throwing some books out there on the screen.
All right.
One thing you say, for African people, right? Mm-hmm. We know that Shaka Zulu, the great king in South Africa, that white man comes there and he sees that the people were treating his stool that he sat on almost like it was something too holy to touch. Right? They couldn't understand that. They think, these barbarians are worshiping a stool, a piece of wood. And that's because it is from the African traditional understanding and religions that everything is sacred. Everything comes from God. Everything is of God. If it dissipates in some form by fire, it returns to God. If our bodies drop and die, our spirits return unto God. Our bodies return unto the earth, as Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7 says, but our spirit returns to God who first breathed it in us. So African people, you see, when we talk about spirituality, we can't separate spirituality from life. It is life that forms our spirituality. Now, you got this big thing now where everybody says, I don't believe in religions anymore. I just want to be spiritual. Well, first of all, we should know that a religion is only a vehicle to return us back to our original self. That's why the word re, whenever you see the word re, it means to go back. Religion, God, go back to God. How do you return to God? So-called from the fall of man, based upon our Christian belief in the fall of man in the Garden of Eden, that man has been separated from God. But you look at the Exodus story, God called Moses to bring my people to me. I want to talk to them. They said, no, we don't want to talk to God. We're scared. You talk to God. Whatever God tells you, Moses, we will listen to you. That's how it is today. Even up in Christianity, in modern Christianity, particularly in the Catholic Church, we go pray to the priest. The priest talk to God. Then the priest come back and tell you what God said.
The middleman.
Right.
All right.
But the reality is that we are God's stuff.
Come on now.
And African people know that.
Come on now.
That we have a direct connection. We're not separated from God, but not even the trees are separated from God.
Right. Bishop, you think that there may be an ulterior motive for putting that middleman in there?
It has to be based upon some form of hierarchy, right? That somebody is greater than another. You know that the chief symbol in the African American Catholic congregation, also by the way, at the Black Catholic Institute, the chief symbol is the Jinyame. It's a Ghanaian from Ghana, from the Akan people, part of the adinkra symbol system that means except for God, there's nothing greater than thyself. Right? So, but when we fall for the notion that I'm not worthy, then we allow somebody else who we think is worthy to stand in our stead because of whatever our indoctrination is, whether it's through some religious dogma or whatnot. So, because mankind does not realize mankind's rightful position, which, if you're Christian, you listen to the Bible, and the Bible says that I made him in my image and in my likeness in Genesis 1:26. Well, if that's the case, if I'm like God, I got to be like God in all ways. He didn't say like God in some ways. One of the bigger problem is, and we know that in most religions, except that God is spirit, right? And we say that God, even when we were little kids, we would say that this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, meaning the God in me, all that God in me stuff, right? But we want to look at it as the God in me, but that God in me is not me. That God in me is me.
But that's deep. That's deep, and that goes along. It's a comment here by Messenger Ryan. How can self ever truly be separated from self? So that God in me, as you say, that God in me,
yes,
is me.
Right, right, exactly.
There's really no separation. But when I was talking about ulterior motive,
right,
that if I can convince you that the only way for you, not only for you with your corporeal being, but your eternal being, the only way for your eternal being to escape eternal damnation is by me interceding on your behalf and letting you know what you should do and shouldn't do. That gives me a certain amount of control and power.
It's no doubt, we have this thing we call slave religion, right? And we know the masterful use of the scriptures of the Bible to control a whole people brought here in America on slave ships, the Americas, but also in Europe, that people taken from their homeland, of the motherland, and how bringing to them the Bible, as the Bishop Tutu said, that when the white man came to Africa, he handed us the book. While we looked down at the book, we raised our head up, we had the book in our hand, and they had all the land. They controlled Africa, and they gave us the Bible. But the Bible was used and manipulated, and whether you watch a movie like Roots, that was a well-researched movie, but Alex Haley did tremendous. Our ancestor Alex Haley did a tremendous blessing in the 1970s to bring us that movie or the book Roots to show us what happened to us. It wasn't complete, but it was a first step toward truly putting it out there to the masses of the people how we've been, as Malcolm X says, hoodwinked, bamboozled, run amok, that we've been lied to. Now, some old prophet, did something, he messed up, and he uses a term, and he referred to himself, as he lamented, he said, I'm just a dirty, filthy rag. And so then you get a preacher being taught that we're all, as human beings, dirty, filthy rags. Now I go to Baptist churches all the time, and every last one of them say, it's not about me, I'm just a dirty, filthy rag. I'm like, that's not what my Bible said about you.
That discussion and that what we're taught and the slave mentality, and bringing that brings me to thinking about even before we had a discussion about race in the Garden of Eden,
right,
with the book of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that when our eyes were opened and we got to the point whereas we started judging on this is good, that's evil.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the so-called misery of man,
Condemnation.
came in. But
Yes.
up until that time, we were just cool.
It was good.
We were just running around naked as a jaybird.
Sure enough.
Yeah.
I want to share with the listening audience. If you got the New American Bible, so if you're Roman Catholic, and everybody uses the New American Bible, but even in Africa, the African Bible, the New African Bible, is only a copy of the New American Bible.
Right.
So when you if you get a copy of the African Bible all over Africa, but you open it up, it lets you know that it was the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops who approved it.
That.
It's the same book.
Right.
Except for, you may have some in the prefaces, they might have changed a few little things that are relevant to Africa. But here's a revelation. In 2011 edition of the New American Bible, it talks about Genesis and the stories in Genesis, the stories of creation. And here's a revelation. It's the first time they put it in, that the Roman Catholic Church put it in. It says that the story of creation, particularly the creation story beginning in chapter 2 of Genesis, is a borrowed story from a more ancient people. So in the way that it's written right now in this Bible, it's in its borrowed form.
Right.
And then it goes on to tell you even further what was a version before it, right? About how it is that when God created man, that man became so noisy that they disturbed the peacefulness of the gods.
God, plural.
Plural. Huh? Like the Yoruba religion, huh? The gods. and that then God decided to make man mortal, but the bottom line is the Europeans acknowledge that the stories of the creation story in our Bible was a borrowed story, and they've always known it.
Right.
But because of the information age, people are learning on their own, right? People act like the Bible didn't say that out of Egypt I will call my son. Now, if Jesus was in Egypt, what do you think? We know that at that time, that the people in Egypt were black people. Why would some blonde, blue-eyed boy go hide in Egypt away from Herod?
Right.
As the only, he didn't belong there. You follow what I'm saying?
I wonder if the Egyptians were really bright-skinned, white. I wonder how Moses could pass.
Marry a Cush woman.
How could he pass for an Egyptian if he's a Hebrew? Unless the Hebrews was dark-skinned also.
Yeah.
That is a lot. You start reading it. What do you say? Don't ask too many questions.
Well,
don't ask too many questions.
The good thing is that the Bible it clearly states that it's not a historical book.
Yeah, right.
So if those who try to take it literally, you get all kind of dogmatic debates.
Yeah.
But the bottom line on the issue of black spirituality, our spirituality must be black, because out of Africa comes the cradle of humanity is in Africa. See, when mankind was first created, it was created with spirit. Therefore, nobody can say that spirituality is not black. Now, Asante, who speaks about what we mean when we say Afrocentricity, explains that it includes all things. It's holistic. So like black spirituality is holistic. But when you compare it to other spiritualities, oftentimes they're disjointed. You know, in America we separate the sacred from the secular, the state from religion, and these notions of bifurcation and disjunctive mind thought are not African-centered mind thought. But if you speak and think like that, then you get a disjuncted spirituality, and so you act a certain way when you're in church. And you act another one way when you're running your business. So the evangelicals could take and have one position in the church, and then when it comes outside, they could have a different. We understand. We have just a couple of comments, and I want to try to read these off. Brother Ryan, people choose to believe in order to experience. That is to say that God, that which is all things, experiences existence in this physical reality through its manifold manifestations of self.
It chooses what to and when to experience as it sees fit. So the one choosing what to experience and when to experience as it sees fit. Agreed religion imposed upon the people is a tool to keep those people servant to occupying force. Brother Kyle, thank you for joining us. Brother Bruce, thank you for joining us. Again, Brother Ryan, but even that imposition is an expression of that which is all things. To experience that mode of reality, the only thing constant, however, is change. Therefore, as they say, the first shall be the last, and the last shall be first. Depends on the time they're referring to. Egypt had been conquered several times over. It's quite possible that the people occupying Egypt at the time of Jesus could have been melanin recessive. And coming back, this is good. We got about another 7 minutes in the show.
Wow.
Yeah, the hour's gone. But coming back, that if indeed God is Almighty, and I'm saying if indeed, I mean, my knowledge is that God is Almighty, but if indeed God is Almighty, and if indeed we are all part of the one body, then that one body, as I acknowledge that one body has got a plan, mm-hmm. and everything's going to go according to that plan. I'm seeing we're getting the signal. We have 6 minutes left in the show, and viewers, I apologize, because you see, it wasn't me doing all the talking tonight. All right, all right, but look, this has been great. This has been great. So that just means that you got to come back on here. That's what that means. You got to come back on.
I would be happy to. I enjoy listening, however. I catch it as often as I can. I just want to share with the audience the few books I had brought to share, and I liked what you did. This book, This Far by Faith, African American or African Black Worship and African Roots. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of literature out there that can help us to understand spirituality, mm-hmm. and we must understand that there are one body but many parts. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that we have multiple cultures, and religion is a function of culture. Religion is only a part of culture, mm-hmm. but language is, the norms, the cultural norms, things that people do, the ethnic, and so when you see like Toni Morrison writing about black life in all of her novels and how she captures black life, you're gonna find when you read Toni Morrison that black spirituality is very much couched in here, and she brings it out very well. Right. Because she's a very spiritual woman, because she's a black woman, and black people and black spirituality does not separate spirituality from secular life.
Secular, right.
Yes. The same thing with Dr. Martin Luther King. So, A Testament of Hope, the essential writings of Dr. Martin Luther King. When you read his writings, right. you see how he didn't separate the sacred from the secular. Right. So when he began to fight for black rights, and all the white-minded, white Eurocentric mindset of religion said, hey, leave politics alone. Mm-hmm. Just stick to the religion. Just stick to Jesus. Mm-hmm. But Dr. King is a true Christian. Mm-hmm. Because did Jesus Christ do that? Right. Or when they tried to stone the woman, did he not advocate like a lawyer for her and prevented them from killing her?
Right. And there was something that you were sharing with me, something I didn't know about Dr. King and the various leaders, African leaders. Why don't you share that with our viewers?
With Dr. King?
The inauguration.
I was sharing with people how, the whole civil rights movement that Dr. King led here in America was not unseparated from with the liberation of Africa. Mm-hmm. When in 1975 Zaire was liberated and it got its Declaration of Independence and its own king, its own president rather, Dr. King was present. Mm-hmm. When President Kenyatta in Kenya in 1963 came from the jail, straight from the jail in his prison uniform to meet with Queen Elizabeth, who turned over the power, the government, to him. Dr. King was present. And so our as African American and people of the diaspora, our life has always been connected to our brothers and sisters in Africa. And right now we have a serious schism, a disconnect, and we need a new form of dialogue that we can bring our people to a greater understanding and awareness, because our black spirituality can never be separated from our politics, our health, our education, our social or psychological disposition, our personal finance. Everything is connected.
All right, look, I'm getting the signal that we have 2 minutes left in the show. There was a couple of points that we wanted to make sure we got out, and that's the Founders Day.
Yes, we'll be in Suitland, Maryland, at the Imani Temple headquarters, international headquarters. Archbishop J. Augustus Stallings will be honoring our founder for 30 years of leading our movement in the African American Catholic congregation. That'll be on March 13th through the 15th in Suitland, Maryland, at our national headquarters of the African American Catholic congregation.
All right, in keeping with our theme tonight, as far as the black religion spirituality worldwide, there are some temples, Imani temples, not only in Lafayette, not only in New Orleans, not only in Washington, but also internationally. Absolutely.
We have a presence now in Kenya, where we have 13 temples there. We have a Bishop George Otino, who's leading the movement there, and Bishop Dunye up in Liberia, where we have a cathedral being built, and he has done an excellent job of running a school of 800 kids on meager funds. It's amazing what he's been able to do in his community, and we're looking to march completely through Africa and reclaiming a common spirit and a common religion and spirituality that we belong together.
All right.
Yes,
Bishop, thank you for coming on, and you'll be back on there.
Master, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right.
And thank you for your service.
We want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for those of you that have commented on Facebook. And as always, God is indeed almighty. No matter whatever God has planned for you in this upcoming week, my prayer is that God blesses you and yours with peace.